Welcome to Journey to Joy Live, a podcast to promote wellness, resilience, and inspire joy. Be empowered to balance your mental, physical, financial, aspirational, and social health while providing mental health awareness and breaking down the stigma of mental illness in the Black community. I'm your host, Dr. Joy, and I'm here to help you transform life's challenges into opportunities for joy. Let's begin the journey together. Hello, hello, hello. We are in episode 97, Mom Brain or ADHD. Let's talk about it. And I have two special guests today on Journey to Joy Live, and that is Dr. Shauna Pollard, licensed psychologist and ADHD coach, and someone who is definitely not new to the podcast, Jessica V. Taylor, licensed social worker and founder of Therapy for Black Women, as well as my BFF. You were on episode 4 and episode 15 or 16 in DR at one point. So thank you
Yeah.
for returning. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
All right. Well, Dr. P, how about you go first telling the guests more about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a psychologist in Atlanta. I run my private practice where I specialize in adults who give and give and give till they run out,
Oh.
and then they need help getting it back together. I also work with folks who have ADHD. I do, in true ADHD fashion, I do like 8 things in my practice. I work with BIPOC clinicians with ADHD. I host a group where we work on documentation. I'm sure you guys understand that, and
Mm-hmm.
create community. I run notes and networking events for folks who have fallen behind on notes and want to connect.
Oh.
I speak to organizations about mental health and neurodiversity. Um, and we'll just stop there, and you'll find the
Because you
rest
do a
out.
whole lot more.
Yeah, when you check out the website.
Gotcha. Jessica, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Jessica Taylor. I am the founder of Therapy for Black Women. You can find us at
Ooh.
therapyforblackwomen.com. It's a practice that obviously specializes in care for Black women. We're 100% online. We're in the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. It's myself and 6 other wonderful ladies, and who are licensed in various states, but you can find all that out on the website. And I specialize in anxiety, perinatal mental health, ADHD, um, co-parenting, transition, or like relationship transitions, that kind of thing as well. Yeah, and I'm super excited to be here.
Yay, I'm excited to have you. And it's Mental Health Awareness Month. Mother's Day is just around the corner. So why not talk about mom brain and ADHD? And of course, I have to talk about some exciting news that I just published my second book already yesterday. So it is called Inspired Joy for the Wife, Mom, Boss. Balancing it all without losing yourself. Because let's just face it, us high achievers, we're multitasking, balancing and managing all these different roles. And it's definitely important for us to be able to choose joy despite that and put ourselves back on the priority list. So it is available on my website for $12.49. You can go to Amazon, it's $21.99, but why not go to my website for $12.49
Only
up until
$12.49? That's a steal.
12.49.
It
Exactly,
is.
it's a steal up until the end of Mother's Day. It's just gonna go up just a little bit after that, but just to the end of Mother's Day. And if you want the Joy bundle, you can get the Enjoyno and the Wife Mom Boss book for $45 on my website. So we had to talk about that because it's Mother's Day. But let's just jump right into it because the reason why I wanted to talk about mom brain versus ADHD is because I have ADHD. Anybody else on this call have ADHD? Wow, look at
And
this.
I can put up a foot. Yeah,
Perfect attendance.
right.
Yes, yes. And we're all moms, correct?
Correct.
I'm not a mom.
Okay, okay. I meant to ask you that beforehand, but that's all right because you are our wonderful ADHD expert for sure. We're all experts in our own way. But I was diagnosed with ADHD prior to becoming a mom. I was diagnosed in training. It was more so inattentive, lack of focus, that kind of thing. And women or girls go under the radar anyway. Boys, mostly have the hyperactive ADHD. You see it, it's easier to catch because it's more external. I can think back to when I was young that I used to daydream. Literally created fantasy worlds. I would just be daydreaming all day long, like just thinking in my head and would miss things, but obviously not enough because I was making A's. But, like, thinking back, I'm like, "Okay, I had the symptoms," but then, of course, ended up being diagnosed as an adult, and then when I ended up having the babies, it just seemed to get worse. So that is why we're talking about this today. Jessica, did you wanna talk about your experience with ADHD and having kids?
Oh, yeah, we could talk about that the whole the whole
Episode.
episode. Woo. So looking back, right, I had my Kaiser Soze moment, like, at the end of the movie, he looks back, you see the whole thing. Okay, so looking back, it was my actual clients who I had, referred to psychiatric evaluations and different things, and they were coming back with an ADHD diagnosis, and that made me dive deeper into it, and I was like like, it was just, "Okay, that's what's been going on this whole time." I was 36 or 7,
Mhm. Yeah, one of the
37,
same.
and I was in my 1st or 2nd year as a mom, but what a year.
Mm.
So, postpartum, pandemic, no relatives, 2
Mhm.
people, we're getting to know each other, raising this baby, and it was like, "What are you talking about, a system? What do you I'm keeping this alive. I don't know what else you want me to do." Like, so
Keeping the baby alive. That's enough.
so, it being able to give words and learn and everything, it was empowering, it was, emboldening, it was freeing, it was a lot of things, but yeah, I mean, I could go on and on and on.
I totally remember that because it's like you had like this light bulb came on, and Dr. P, that's all she was talking about is ADHD, 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 ADHD. She just felt so good that she was able to put a name to it because you were struggling.
Yes.
And it was important to be able to have a name so that, not so you can feel bad about yourself, but so that you can know what to do after. So the question for you, Dr. P, as well as whoever else want to answer, what is the difference between typical mom brain and symptoms of ADHD, because there is some kind of crossover, and how can someone tell if it's more than just forgetfulness or fatigue?
Yeah, I'll start, but I think you guys are gonna have the better answers. What I would imagine is the difference because what I realize is I don't see a lot of moms where I see them pre and post. So I either see moms who already have been diagnosed with ADHD, and by the time they come in, things are in chaos and they're trying to get back on track. Or I see moms who have diagnoses and maybe have been on meds or kind of trying to troubleshoot things or maybe have forgotten about the ADHD, but certain life challenges allow it to creep to the
Yes.
surface. So I would say usually I would imagine that with moms with ADHD, you're going to see an exacerbation of problems that were already there. Right. It's not like life was going swimmingly and then you had kids and it went, totally out of control. It's more like you were using all of your resources to keep it together
Mhm.
and then once you had the kids, it just couldn't do what it used to do, right?
That's a good point. That's the key, like, if you're just like, "Did I always have ADHD?" versus, "Is this new and is it the mom brain and it's gonna disappear soon?" It's just
Mm,
maybe it was there and you were just flying under the radar, but then any life situation could, like, bring out an underlying disorder that was just already there hibernating, and especially with the mom brain, you've got the hormones going on too. So if you think about the actual difference that's going on in our brain, literally our hormones, right? Estrogen, progesterone, oxytocin, and that is getting all back in place after we have our kids. During, while we're making the baby, and then also afterwards, it's all kind of balancing back out, and that can cause issues with memory and focus. And with ADHD, it's a totally different part of the brain, and it's not necessarily hormonal, but it's neurotransmitters. So dopamine and norepinephrine. If you think about the medication, the stimulants, the Adderall that we want need to take for ADHD, that's increasing dopamine in our brain. So those are the key executive functioning neurotransmitters. And so that's what's going on biochemically. What have you seen, Jessica?
Oh, that's the difference?
Yeah, between mom brain,
Mm.
whether you personally or in your practice.
Sure, sure. There's definitely like, some fogginess or some hyper focus because again, your brain is doing what it's supposed to do and saying, keep this kid alive, you know? And so you're hyper focused, you're all about it. Not everyone. I know we're all different. But I mean, generally, that's your brain doing what it's supposed to be doing. Focus, focus, focus. And things that are not supposed to be your focus can sometimes fall away. But I think that the biggest deal is that it's really affecting your functioning. So if I'm like forgetting something or I can't remember what I was talking about or like an oops, that's different than some of the functioning that we will get into in a second. Um, so we'll
Yeah.
clarify in a second
Mhm.
more, but mom brain is also temporary.
Correct.
If you start to talk about the ADHD, you'll be like, "Oh, I see it, I see it. Here, 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 here," not just in this space.
Yeah, not to mention mom brain on top of ADHD. Because I told you this after I had my 2nd baby. When I brought him home, it was just so weird, like, the fogginess that I felt. Legend is the name of the 1st baby that I had, and I just thought I had 2 Legends. It was just like I couldn't separate the 2 babies. I was just like, "Wait, who are you?" I couldn't fathom. It's just so weird, and it's really weird to explain, but it's
Yeah.
just the wildness that happens in our brains when we have these babies. I mean, our bodies are so amazing, but it definitely does
Mhm.
some things up here.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I guess
yeah.
I'm jumping to the punch here, but fish oil can definitely help with all that, but we can talk about that more as well.
I was also gonna say, like, there's some natural reasons why there's a hit to your executive function because if you didn't have any children and now you do, you
Mm.
now have to split your attention, right? Whereas before you could just take care of yourself, right? You could be all about you, you could do whatever you wanna do. Now you're responsible for another human's life.
Mhm.
Right? And so
Mhm.
your attention is in a way, it's almost like being on technology, like it is pulling your attention away and you don't have control. You're on the baby schedule. You work for the baby now, right? Like you might say you want to focus and then the baby's crying, and so you're not focused anymore, right? So I think that's worthwhile mentioning too that like you now have something else that is in control of your
Yeah.
attention besides yourself, you know?
That's so true, you're adding something else to the plate. Yeah, and the multitasking that you once did when you're caring for yourself is just like, "Whoa," it's like, "How do I do all this?"
And
Yeah,
the
it's
more
fun.
kids you have, the more, the more attention splits you have. Some people were fine with kid number 1, but then once kid number 2, kid number 3, then, that's more grabs on the attention.
Yeah, yeah, and, some people say it's easier so it's the hardest is going, obviously, 0 to 1 and 1 to 2 kids, but then 2 to 3 is easier. For me, I guess I could see that because my oldest is 13 and he can help out, but, as far as having, like, 3 under 5, I'm not sure how that's easiest. Yeah. Okay. So as far as our next question, how does the mental load of motherhood impact executive functioning, and how can we better support Bob's navigating the constant overwhelm? Who wants to jump in on that?
I'll take it. Well, I'll start. So, the mental load of motherhood, like, first of all, what is that? Um, it is all of the things that we have to do to keep this kid alive, right? So, we have to wipe it, feed it, bathe it, clean it, make doctor's appointments, make dinner, pay the mortgage so we have a roof, like a million things, right? And not to mention, it's for a helpless thing initially, right? And so they grow in development and functioning. I can attest to that absolutely is helping. My child is 5. So going from, no independence to more and more and more, that's absolutely helping with me. But moms typically share the larger load of
Yeah.
that, you know? I would say even if we have a same gender couple, there's still one person typically that is doing more of it. So whoever
Mhm.
that individual is,
Mhm.
right, they have more going on up here, and
Mhm.
so if you already have, the inattentive whatever, now we've added on, higher stakes, right? So, I know we'll maybe get into, like, the consequences and, like, if it's either a now or not now, or the consequences can be high. The ADHD tax, right, can be high.
Yeah.
When it's this kid, it's like, It can be overwhelming. It can feel like, um, you're failing. It can feel
Yeah.
like you're if you're not doing this and this right.
Mhm.
Before it was like, "Hmm, who maybe my partner sees my ADHD showing up, but it's not so," but now that this other little person is here,
Not to
So
mention that both of y'all had ADHD, and that's the case in my marriage as well as for you. I'm not to call y'all out too, but yeah.
Yeah, so it can look like a lot of things, like the house is cluttered, the dinner is, chicken nuggets 5 nights in a row, because you have decision fatigue. I don't know, I
Ooh, I
mean,
like that decision fatigue. Well, I don't like it, but I like the terminology behind that.
It's
yeah,
real.
yeah, I'm looking at my notes. Having my notes is my ADHD accommodation, okay?
I'm
So
having these banners on the side, having these questions written out. That's helps my
exactly,
ADHD.
exactly. Uh
Libras have decision fatigue anyway. I'm a Libra, by the way. Well, you're a Libra too.
Oh, I am.
We're born 5
Oh,
days
so 2
apart.
Libras.
The
Yeah.
balancing. And ADHDers interrupt. I've interrupted you twice now. Go ahead.
It's fine. But the support, honestly, that's such a big question,
Mhm.
and I know we'll get more into, like, real, tips and whatnot, but honestly, someone who understands it, that person themselves, learning more about ADHD, so that we can be able
Yeah.
to get the accommodations we need and feel bold about it and, do something creatively and feel supported. Ask for the support that we even need, you know,
Mhm.
in different spaces.
Now, as an ADHD coach, Dr. P, when someone comes in, whether they're a mom or not, what is it that you tell them? What kind of assessments do you do to get them through the process of figuring out if they have it or not?
Yeah, so I mostly stay in the therapy realm. So I don't do formal assessments. So I always tell people if you need to know because somebody needs a report, then you will need to work with someone who does formalized assessments, where those will take, 6 to 12 hours, maybe multiple days, some time to get feedback. I deal in the realm of executive functioning. So I always tell people I don't care what your diagnosis is. I don't care if you have ADHD or not, because what we know is that executive function shows up across the board in multiple diagnoses, whether it's depression, schizophrenia, dementia. So, whatever you bring in the door, we're going to support you with it. So, one of the things I give folks is an executive function questionnaire, which comes from the book Smart But Scattered. It's
Mm.
available everywhere online. And the thing I will tell people is if you have ADHD, when I give you the book, you will never finish it because that seems to be the trend. No, no one ever.
Ambitious.
So
Not interested
I
in that.
it the way that it's laid out, it has it's not that it's not interesting, but it has actionable tasks that you need to do. So you actually need to do the stuff to get the benefit from it, and most people, aren't gonna be able to do that by themselves, and so I give the questionnaire that kinda helps us think about what levels of challenges you're having with executive function. Is it, getting organized? Is it, impulsivity, being able to like close the fridge and stay out of it when you need to, or ordering things on Amazon, right? So then once we assess what areas you're having, then we kind of target those areas. And I do a lot of like bringing an issue and let's tackle it, right? And let's see what's going on. Let's give you skills. Let's give you resources to help you get where you need to go. So, what I tell people is like, come in, let's work on your executive functioning, and then
Mhm.
let's figure out what are your instincts about what you need to support yourself. So I have some clients who know, like, I definitely want to take meds, help me take meds. I tell you, whether I tell you have ADHD or not, that really is not going to determine anything about you getting meds because I
Yeah,
don't prescribe medication.
yeah,
You'll need to go to psychiatry, you'll need to go to a nurse practitioner. And so if folks are like, I think I need a med, I think I need support that way, then I'll sort of help people find referrals. I have the site pack so I can see people in like
mm,
42 states.
mm,
So if they're in Atlanta or, like, the Maryland, DC area, I
mhm,
usually have some good ones already on deck, but if
nice,
they are in other states, then we sort of will go the traditional, like, search the web and see what's out there, approaches. And so if you feel like you want to try skills, practicing skills, then we do that. And some people see a lot of benefit from that and, like, things like mindfulness or changing the environment or learning like a skill. Like sometimes people want to be better at cleaning, but that's not
yeah,
intuitive. And so we talk about maybe you need an organizer and maybe you need, to go and get someone to show you the ropes of how to do it. And so I sort of stay in the lane of like, if you need a firm assessment, then let's get you to find someone who can do that for you. If you just need some skills to get you started and get you moving, we can do that. And we don't need to really know if it's formally ADHD or not. And then as time
yeah,
goes on, people usually will pick, they'll be like, yeah, I'm try some things, but I think I'm ready for meds. I think I want to try that. Or I think I want to work on something else. Because what I
yeah,
see is ADHD never travels alone. It always travels with other diagnoses, depression, anxiety,
mhm,
trauma, and we don't even
mhm,
wanna go down the road of thinking about, like, all of the things that, like, overlap with executive functions, symptoms, and so I tell people,
exactly,
as a therapist, I can't really help you sort out all of those things. We can kinda give you some ideas or some
yeah,
areas for, like, where to go. But yeah, and you don't have to call it ADHD if you want, but, the
yeah,
core of it is you're having trouble focusing,
correct.
concentrating, and we can work through that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, if you're having the executive functioning, planning, organizing, forgetfulness, those issues, it's kinda like skills and therapy and the coaching, the diagnosis really doesn't matter, and I try to promote that anyway.
Mm.
As far as, medication, I don't wanna just throw a medication at you, I'm just like some people just like, "Look, just give me the med and that's it." I'm like,
It's 'cause some people have been trying, they've been working on the
yeah.
skills that,
What did they
like.
try? Correct, for those who've
But
already
if
tried.
it's your first go-to, because it's not a lot of people think it's a one-to-one. They think you get a med and you're instantly better.
Nope.
It's not that straightforward. It a
Mm-mm,
lot of sometimes it's
mm-mm.
trial and error, so, yeah,
Right.
I'll be quiet. I can soapbox, I'm gonna be quiet.
No, it's okay. Yeah, you have to do the skills with the med no matter what. Jessica, were you gonna say something?
Mm, I could say any skills don't pills don't build skills, someone
Hey.
right? So,
Mm,
I was just telling that to a client today, which actually gave her some hope because it's like, yeah, we you've just started that, but we still have this other work to do. And, there's hope because ADHD can feel very much like I've had all these consequences. I have all this shame. I have all this internalized ableism, which is, you know, I always give people the example of like, if you had surgery on your foot and you have a
Mhm.
and you're supposed to be using your crutches, and I just keep watching you tumble down the stairs, and you just keep saying, "Nope, nope, nope, nope. I'm supposed to be able to do it without." What are you doing? Like, what we would never, it's like there's support. There are accommodations, there is medication, there is a there's so many different things,
mm,
to work through. So when we learn about those different executive functioning skills and we put words to like an experience like, "Oh, that's my task initiation. Oh, that's me struggling with task completion." Then, "Oh, that's my struggle with prioritization or organizing." It's like,
no.
"Oh, it's this thing and not just me being
Mhm.
forgetful, me being lazy, me being dumb, me
Right.
the things that
Absolutely.
we have said to ourselves or people have said to us. So yeah, I love that the hope that comes along with what Dr. Pollard is saying, like putting words to it, and it doesn't matter. I say the same thing. It does not matter what words we call it. Let's just work on what we're working on here.
Yeah, and hearing you say like, "Oh, it's not me that's lazy, I'm not stupid, I'm not dumb." I actually went through that, like, before my diagnosis, like, you know my story, Jessica. It took me what seemed to be forever to get into medical school. I took the medical college admissions test 3 times and was ready to take it a 4th time because wasn't getting in right away, and I'm just like, "Well, what's going on? Why isn't it sticking?" It's because I had the ADHD, and I literally at one point said to myself, "I'm just too stupid for med school." Clearly, that's not the case. But once, you figure out, okay, there's this thing behind this. This is why, and you stop comparing yourself to other people and you just pick up the strategies and the skills and what you need to do. I mean, in med school, like my studying strategy was amazing. Like everybody looked for Nina's organized charts of the diseases every week. Like, when is she gonna send out them charts? Because that's how I learned, and I realized other people learn well like that as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So yeah, once you figure it out, it can be success. So we were
I
started
I wanted
talking.
to add one more
Mhm.
thing. I like what Jessica said about, the labels, 'cause I think the labels do
Yeah.
help people, and I like what you said about accommodations, and what it made me think about is that you can get accommodations for school and work, but how come there are no accommodations for moms? Like,
Ooh,
Or
for
for
there's no
mom.
list.
or just for life. If you're just an adult and you just need a personal yes, yes.
Well, the same with the question of you have to do driver's training to operate a car, but there's no parent training to, oh my God, raise somebody for, I was gonna say 18 years, but you basically you're a parent forever, so
Right,
it's
right.
wild.
Yes.
Yeah. Moment of silence. Okay, so we started talking about some strategies. So let's get into some realistic strategies. If somebody was watching, they're like, okay, okay, we get it. What can I take away today? Not just like our random clinical advice, but what can busy moms with ADHD or attentional struggles can use to stay organized and sane?
Yeah, I like that you put insane 'cause that's so fu it's a part of it. I'll shoot, so I again, my notes. I have so many. We could just, as Nina said, could just talk about it all day. Okay, so it depends on what we're talking about. Look at the comments. It depends on what we're talking about. But for sure, to stay sane is get the support. Like be realize that you are sane and you've been struggling, you've been pushing boulders up hills blindfolded, right? Like if you haven't had the proper accommodations and the proper knowledge of like what you're working with. So that's a
Mhm.
big part of it.
Yeah.
Uh, but like super practical things. Technology is my friend. So
Mhm.
I use about a million different reminders, and I even have like rules for my reminders. So if it is a reminder to take out the trash, I will hit snooze until I am taking out the trash. That's just one. Okay. I don't play with
Gotcha.
do not play myself because if I hit stop, oh,
You
well,
gonna forget.
got it. Right. That's just one small little tons of reminders. So, I'm very deeply in alignment with the fact that if you're speaking to me about things that require follow-up, now I'm really practiced that. When do you need that by? Here's my email address. Send me the rest of the details. I will check my calendar, right? I communicate differently because I know now way more about myself and what I need. So I set the reminders. I set reminders now in planning mode. So if this podcast is today at 7, there's a reminder on Monday to review my notes, reminder on
Oh.
Tuesday to get the outfit together. Like it could be as complex as you need, right?
Outfit too.
Because this is a lot of we love to we have like a funny relationship with time and how much we think we're gonna do.
Yeah.
time, right? And so,
Mhm.
mm, I think I have time to do my hair and my lashes and my
Already too much.
and then, "Oh, I forgot to eat," but when we're in alignment with whatever our operating skills sort of are, then I can be more kind and gracious and put in place what I need as opposed to kind of floundering and not saying that I have perfected it, but, you know, I mean, I remember giving you this really sparkly keychain because
Yes,
I
that
kept
keeps
getting lost.
you losing the
Like,
keys, a lanyard, a sparkly
yes,
lanyard.
it's huge, it's sparkly, you love it, you see it, it doesn't get lost in purses and cars and doesn't
Yeah,
get tucked under in the seat, There's visual cues.
'cause we all
Oh,
have a big purse, like, I don't know what it is with us when we all have a big purse and we can't find our keys, so that sparkly
That's why I
lanyard.
don't have a big purse because I can never find anything in a big purse.
yes. And then specifically, I would say one of the things that really just changed my world in terms of motherhood and technology is the app Routinery. It is really awesome, and my kid, who probably has ADHD because both of me and her myself and her dad have it, she loves the visual cues of this is what's next, this
The
is when I
house
hit the
felt
button, you get a little, "Oop, done," we love checking things off of a list, right?
nice.
And so it's giving us and even her, she has learned now her nighttime routine, you know? But I use said Routinery app for 4 PM when I'm done seeing clients. It goes, "Turn your music on, review your case notes one last time, start dinner." Like, whatever it is, it helps me because we just know that if we don't have it, we'll just, "Oh, it's 8:30 and we haven't eaten." You know?
You know another thing that's helped me recently, we were talking about the purses, a clear purse, because I went to an event that required me to take a small clear purse, and
Yeah.
the whole following week, I continued usually you switch back to your regular purse. I continued to use a clear purse. I was like, "This is nice." First of all, it's smaller, so I wasn't losing stuff, and I really wasn't losing stuff because I could just see everything in it.
Yeah.
It makes
So
a
Uh-huh.
that helps
difference.
too, and to-do lists are fantastic for me because with ADHD, notifications increase my anxiety. So if I'm doing something or I go to my phone because I'm about to do something, and then I notice all these notifications that pop up in my face, I forget what I'm about to do. So what I do right away is, okay, I'm like, all right, that notification, I can't honor you right now, but I'll add you to the list because you are very important so I can come back. So to-do lists are so important because and then sometimes I feel like I have to respond to people right away because that's one of my pet peeves is people non-responding to me so that I feel like I need to respond right away too. Oh gosh. So that's another thing to let go. But yeah, to-do lists are key. Dr. P, what about you? What works for you in
I have a
personally or
million. I have
Mhm.
a whole so and what as you guys were talking, I have an executive function resource list that I made in the last year. It has 9 pages worth of resources on it because
Whoa.
I realized I can't keep it all in my head, and so it's better for me to export it to paper. So I would say that's one of the tools. Write things down. That way you don't have to store it in your mind. It goes somewhere else. Or to-do list. I use um, Google Keep sometimes, which a lot of people don't know about, but it's free in the Google ecosystem and it lets you make lists with check boxes. And I like it because when you check things off, they disappear, but they can come back. I also use this app called Sansama. It's paid, it's not free, but I keep everything there. And it's probably similar to like a baby version of like a Notion or one of those like Taskmaster systems that people use. But
Right.
it works the way my brain works, where I can just kind of store things and it can disappear or come back. And I use snooze for emails. So if an email comes in, I want to look at it later, I snooze it. And I'll be like, I'll look at that next Wednesday at 8 a.m.
Oh.
I use schedule
Oh.
send. So if I'm
Yes,
up
I do schedule
at
in. Yes.
10 PM and I don't want to do the back and forth, you'll get a schedule
Yeah.
send. I even changed the time so that it's not like 8 AM, it's like 7:53. So it
I love the schedule set, but snoozing emails, is that
yeah,
something Google does?
It's a Gmail function. Yeah, yeah, it looks like a
I
little
need
clock
that.
icon. You can just snooze it to come back because 'cause you're like, "Not right now, I don't wanna deal with this right now." And
And
then you
it'll come
snooze
back as
it
a new email.
So when you wanted to email,
Thank
yeah, and it's still technically there in your archives. I think it
Yeah.
just changes from read to unread, then read again is probably what it's doing. I will
mhm.
say cooking is the one of the biggest struggles for ADHDers. And then back to the point that I thought about while you guys were talking, ask for help. That's one of the hacks. Ask for help. Let people help you. When you become a mom, that means you need to let go of, like, being shy about asking for help, and when people offer to help, you say thank you and take the
Yeah.
help, and, especially if they're trusted, safe people, and let people bring you food or, come up with a list of ways that people can help you, so when they ask, you don't have to sit there with mom brain and be like, I don't know where to start." You can be like, "Actually, I need help
Mhm.
with laundry, I
Yeah.
need some meal prep, I need, this, I need that, I need somebody to put an order in for me on Costco, I know what I want, I just can't
Yeah.
sit down and, do it." So
Mhm.
keep a needs list of what you need help with, and so that way when people ask you, you can have specific answers. I'm gonna say batch cook if you can. Keep things that are frozen that
But
you
what
can
if my
so
kids don't like, meal preps and leftovers and all of that, Dr.
so
P?
I do semi-homemade meal prep. So I will buy like a big so I don't meal prep whole meals. I will meal prep like meat. So I'll buy say like I buy a big
Yeah.
thing of chicken. I'll break it into like, day of things. And so I'll cook the meat. I'll still cook it fresh
They
the
don't
day
know.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they don't know, or I'll say like meal prep sides, right? So like
Mhm.
everybody who knows me knows that I'm a fan of Trader Joe's rice,
Mm.
because I mean, it's probably not the cheapest option for sure, but it's microwavable, it's 3 minutes, they're like single size packs, and so you
Make
can
it
go from
quick.
0
Yeah.
real quick, real quick.
Mhm.
So and it doesn't have to be Trader Joe's, I just like it because it breaks it into the 3 packs or whatever. But
Right.
you get
Yeah.
frozen rice from everywhere. So you can do things like have frozen rice, frozen meats, frozen vegetables, or canned things, and then you can do a semi-homemade meal where you don't necessarily have to make it from scratch if your kids are, like, particular and they're like, "I want it fresh." So you're
Yeah.
like, "Okay, we'll make this part of it," I
Yeah.
don't know.
A couple can
Awesome.
I
Yeah, go
throw a
ahead.
few more in there?
Alright.
Yeah. Just thinking about sort of some of my journey, being being particular with days that I'm gonna do certain things as opposed to, letting every day feel overwhelming.
Mm.
For example, doing some batch cooking and then planning to not be cooking on certain days. Okay, so that it's not a guilt thing or,
Yeah.
it's in the budget, it's in the plan. Maybe even like a delight as opposed to feeling like,
Mhm.
uh, so much shame or guilt about it.
Yeah.
Mm, Laundry, if your household allows, letting it not be a laundry day some days, as opposed to every day you're staring at
Yeah.
the pile and you're feeling guilty because you haven't put the clothes away. You're right, like, it's not my original ADHD coach, that's what we worked on, like, "It's not Thursday. It's fine. It's
Right.
actually good. It's fine. The clothes are there like they're supposed,"
Good.
you know? And that also allows for, I know the age of your kid varies, but, like, I can sit there and watch Bluey and be fine. I don't
Mhm.
feel pulled. I feel very present, I'm like, I've worked through that plan. I also do an hour of planning every week where there's
Mm.
on the week before, and I'm looking ahead, and I'm like, "Okay, luteal phase, kids got a field trip,
Huh.
and then tap."
Alright, we didn't even talk about that.
I'm like, "Okay, don't even try to cook that night because you gotta take her to dance, and so you guys are going to," you see what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah, 'cause days like this where I had a podcast, it's like, I couldn't cook. I said, "Let's go out. Let's go get some Raising Cane's or something," So, yeah, I can't do that every day, but HelloFresh has definitely been a saving grace for
There
us.
you go. That's a hack. Okay.
Mhm.
and I realized for that, I was even getting tired of HelloFresh at one point, so let it be what works in the season. It's
Yeah,
alright if something changes. It's probably going to change, you know what I mean? So, like, let
It's different.
yourself say, "Alright, it's a new season. The kid is acting new, the kids, plural, are acting different. Well, I need to make some adjustments," and, like, be alright with making them. You really do have to, like, grow to the place of being emboldened because things are gonna look if somebody else neurotypical person came into your house, "What why do you have it?" Right?
Yeah.
Do it we
Well, it
do it
works
the
for
way
me.
that exactly. It looks weird, it looks different, it works for us, you know?
Organized chaos, cause I know my sister, she likes stuff to be, like, organized a certain way. I'm like, "If I wanna throw that picture on the wall crooked, that's just the way Imma do it. If I have a toy on the floor, that's just fine." I don't like trash on the floor, that gets on my nerves, but toys everywhere, that's fine. It's a difference to me. So, some people, they need it completely clean, so whatever works. Alright, well, oh my goodness, so we're already at the 40-minute mark. I mean, I try not to go over 40 minutes, but we have so much more that we can talk about for sure. Um, but let's go through, Dr. P, what's your personal journey to joy been like, whether it's about ADHD or not?
Yeah, I think it's about honoring the creative. I feel like, for folks who work hard and are passionate about what they do, sometimes you put other people first and you forget to do what really lights you up. So I feel like, coming back to creativity and doing things that make me laugh and smile and be silly, those are like really important. And I feel like I think it's just accepting the ADHD is like it is what it is, and it's not anything like terrible. It's just that my brain works differently from other people, and that turns out to be wonderful, sometimes, and for other people,
Yeah,
sometimes it can be problematic. So, you gotta take the good with the bad. So
exactly. Do you? How about you, Jessica?
I'll stay in the realm of ADHD a bit because the journey has been definitely a journey. But, um reading, following accounts that are affirming, following accounts that are funny have definitely added to the levity. Um, Embracing it as opposed to oh look, my brain is more creative. There are benefits, there are superpowers, some people say, to it, to finding joy in it, and having fun with finding out someone else has it, and now you guys can talk all about that.
Fine.
Right, laugh at yourself, for sure, because the tax is real, and sometimes it's consequential. I can tell you by the time I ended up in court, okay, because of a debit card that got canceled and da 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 da, right? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Or, like, when you grow exactly,
The
right? But
finances, yeah.
but when you're like, "Oh, okay, guess I gotta" that I heard those brakes squeaking, guess it's time, when it finally
Mm.
you just have to bring some levity to it, because there will be so many moments. So, I also in terms of motherhood, my journey has definitely been helped by Greater Baltimore Mocha Moms, Go
Oh,
Mocha Moms.
yeah.
And, like, just reaching out for support, with, you know, um, especially when she was younger, as a single mom,
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, just laughter. I love a stand-up comedy show or a stand-up special. I really believe in it, and we don't watch comedy and laugh enough. It really has been helpful to shift the mood. I think I did a great job in teaching my daughter how to have a sense of humor, so now
Yeah, she's funny.
if you laugh at my jokes, you've spoken my love language.
That's awesome. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate you all. I mean, ADHD is real, but it doesn't have to hold you down. It's just a matter of taking on the strategies and the skills and learning how to get through it. And nothing says ADHD mom like monster trucks. So that's why I'm wearing that today. Don't forget, inspired joy for the wife, mom, boss, balancing it all without losing yourself. I have ADHD. That's why I'm thinking about how to balance all these roles. 12:49 before the end of Mother's Day, and you can get the Joy Bundle with the In Journal and the Wife Mom Boss book for $45. You wanna go to Amazon? Fine. The paperback's $21.99 and it's on Kindle for $9.99. Thank you so much, you 2, for joining me for our 97th episode of Journey to Joy Live.
Yay, thank you for having us.
this was great. Thank you.
Welcome. This has been an Enjoy Life production. If you're in a crisis, don't hesitate. Call, text, or chat 988 for immediate support. Please note, this podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional treatment. If you're looking for therapy or medication management through Enjoy Life, visit www.drenjoylife.com to request a consultation. I accept Aetna for Georgia residents, and out-of-pocket services are available for others. I'm licensed in Georgia, Florida, Michigan, Tennessee, Maryland, Wisconsin, New Hampshire, Illinois, Virginia, and Minnesota. Be sure to grab your copy of the Enjoyno on Amazon for $39.08 to help you on your wellness journey. And remember, Journey to Joy Live is every Thursday at 7 p.m. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, may you continue to transform challenges into joy.